Добрый день! Сегодня у нас прохождение Call of Juarez Gunslinger. Давно хотел поиграть в эту игрушку. Как-то давным-давно я ее уже проходил. Ну да, история. Наверное, на обычном уровне сложности пройдем. Не хочу сильно заморачиваться.
Don't I know you, sir?
Don't believe so. I haven't been here in many years. Name's Silas Greaves.
Silas Greaves? The bounty hunter?
Used to be.
Ah, what are you doing here in Abilene?
Just passing through. Got a little business to take care of.
Well, sir, it would be an honor if you would allow me to buy you a beer.
Hell, son, it would be my honor to drink it.
I'm Molly. Howdy.
I'm Dwight. That's Jack and Steve. Ben's behind the bar. Oh, I bet you got some great stories.
A couple.
Any of them true?
Jack, be nice.
A few.
What about your shootout with Henry Plummer's gang in Bannock, Montana? Is that where you started as a bounty hunter? That's what it says in this here dime novel.
Don't believe everything you read in them dime novels, boy. First man I hunted was back when I was riding with Billy the Kid.
You knew Billy the Kid?
Damn right. That scrawny son of a bitch had no fear. Wouldn't back down for nobody.
I heard he collected the 10 stars off any crooked lawmen who crossed him.
It was a war, boy. The Lincoln County War. And Billy promised his regulators would take the life of every bastard who helped bushwhack John Tunstall.
Kid had a big chip on his shoulder and a hair-trigger temper. Made him dangerous as hell.
Поехали.
It was about 30 years ago. Billy was hiding out in an abandoned farm near Stinking Springs. I threw in with the kid because the man I had sworn vengeance on was riding with Billy's enemies. But before I tell you why I want that sumbitch dead, let me tell you what happened that day. I was heading back to the hideout when...
Еще немножечко потише сделаем.
No, Steve. The other kind of funny.
Опа, перекати поле. Вернитесь в убежище.
That's not fair. We're missing all the fun.
I knew those two morons would never let me through. I had no choice.
Who's that? Is he with us?
Was it Pat Garrett's posse?
Oh, yeah. I heard the shots and I knew I had to move fast. Garrett and his army of deputies had surrounded the entire homestead. I decided to help Billy and the boys out a bit. So that's just what I did. As the governor of New Mexico was paying for the kid's apprehension, Garrett was able to hire every gun hand in Lincoln County.
Где он есть-то, блядь?
You think you can kill me too? I'm putting you down.
Нажмите-ка. Что же мне вкачать? Чайный герой с двумя стволами. В больших расстояниях. Боец ближнего боя. Хочу 2 ствола, нахуй.
Garrett's men were running around like a bunch of chickens with their heads
Let's
cut
send
off.
these some bitches running.
А мне все-таки сюда.
Still, one of them reached the water tower.
Только
Not a bad idea. It would be a turkey shoot from up there.
Вова.
What the heck just happened?
Нахуя матрица, блядь.
Luckily, these shooters Garrett
Ебанешь.
hired weren't the sharpest tools in the shed.
Блядь, конченая игра, нахуй. Я же звук выставил, блядь, там ниже середины вообще, блядь. Оно ебашит по ушам только в путь.
Where'd he come from? What? I can't hear you.
A lot of them were saddle tramps or sod busters or drunken drifters looking to make a few bucks. Then, I heard a friendly voice yelling at me from the window. Back door! We'll cover you!
Try aiming, you idiots.
Truth be told, things weren't much better behind the house.
Куда идти-то надо?
Watch your flank.
I cut their numbers in half, but that just made the ones that were left twice as mad. They made up for their lack of skill with a seemingly endless supply of ammo. It was a bit of a slog, but I finally fought my way around the back of the house. And like that, I was inside, none the worse for wear.
Это наш.
I passed Dirty Dave, and upstairs I found Billy and Charlie Bolton.
Меткий стрелок. Чертовски умен.
Billy looked at me and said, "About time, amigo. Grab a gun and get to the window."
Wait, so you were friends with Billy the Kid?
Yeah, sort of. Anyway, we were surrounded by dozens of deputized shooters who wanted to do us harm.
I can keep this up all day. I think I got one.
I'm telling you, Garrett's men were dropping like flies, but they just kept on coming.
He's missing one of those. God damn you!
Наверное, все-таки лучше с винтовочки, да, с окна стрелять.
That's when Charlie got hit. The catch catching us in a crossfire, shouted Billy. Get to the other side.
Да ёптать, откуда нам?
I don't know how many of those cocksuckers I personally put down, but it was pretty clear, even to Billy, that maybe discretion was the better part of valor.
What's that mean?
It means that it was time to cut and run. They got a Gatling, Billy shouted. Get the horses and bring them round back. I'll draw their attention. He directed that order at me, and I thought, why the hell do I have to do it? But I
О,
went anyway.
секрет.
Dumbass that I was back then. Many would have fled in my place.
Новый уровень. Более долгие комбо. Давай возьму побольше патронов.
Like Jack here.
What are you saying, old man?
Jack, he's just joshing with you now.
Yeah, he better be.
Mr. Greaves, please continue.
Нихуя себе.
Please call me Silas, ma'am. Now, where was I?
You were heading for the barn.
Cut you a new one.
А, бах. По еблу.
Making my way past a passel of fallen foes.
Sounds like Garrett hired a whole regiment of hired guns.
Yeah, and just when I thought I was done with them, more of these hapless bastards would pop up. Finally, I had the stables within my reach. And that's when I met Sheriff Pat Garrett.
I read that you went toe-to-toe with him, sir. That backstabbing bastard with that tacked-on tin star.
Хотидатель. Гордый, хорош собой, неуклюжий.
You challenged him to a showdown.
You read that in a dime novel?
It said he showed no fear as he took your measure with eyes like a rattlesnake. killed him in a fair fight.
Is that what that penny dreadful said? No, boy. That ain't what I meant when I said I met Pat Garrett. So let me start again. I finally reached those damn stables.
Hmm?
And stepped inside, and last thing I heard was Garrett's voice. That's not Billy.
And go on, how did it end?
And, boy, that was just the beginning.
Нет, я не хочу менять сложность. Я не хочу, чтобы у меня очко разорвалось нахуй. Так вот. Поехали. Билли Кит.
And the kid surrendered? When he realized there was no getting out of there alive.
So they locked you up in Lincoln?
Indeed they did. Sentenced me to hang right along with the kid. It's important to know that I was only riding with Billy so I could find the bastard I was after.
Так, в тюрьме.
He was with John Kinney's gang.
Работал в банде Джонни Кинни. Был заклятыми врагами.
Why were you after him?
I owed that son of a bitch a bullet for what he had done to me and mine. Instead, all I got for myself was a
Вместо этого меня ждало свидание с палачом. Ну, блядь, логично, нахуй. Сколько там отхуярили человек, блядь.
It was right around then that I heard Billy make his move. He shot Jim Bell and a few other guards as he made his getaway. Later, they wrote that some lady friend planted a pistol for him in the privy. What the papers didn't say is that Billy helped me escape too.
Оп, ключи закинули мне.
My first order of business was finding a firearm.
Первая задача — найти ствол, блядь. Засунь руку в карман, блядь. Новый уровень. Что у нас тут? Перезарядка на бегу. Отлично.
Luckily, I located Deputy Bob Ollinger's mean-ass shotgun.
Ну, дробовик я не хочу. Дробовик Бобби Оллинджера. Хуй с ним, поехали с
I saw
дробовиком.
Billy through the window, and he yelled that I should take to the rooftops to make my escape. So I did.
А что здесь вот оружейное, нет?
Hell yeah. That scatter gun was like a double-barreled howitzer. It could blow a man clear off his feet. You hardly had to aim the damn. The kids escaped raised a huge ruckus.
Нахуй мне этот ваш дробовик, хуевик, блядь.
Guards were everywhere looking for him. Can't let the kid get away.
Anybody see him?
I had to jump from roof to roof like a damn alley cat. I followed the planks where I could, but some of that wood was slippery as hell. The whole town was up in arms. Suddenly, I was a fugitive.
Garrett's gonna kick our ass! Lieutenant got everything! Billy broke out of jail!
Сказано съебываться, я съебываюсь.
So that bastard you were after.
Успею я еще постреляться в этой игре.
He did me and my family a grievous harm. But I knew if I was ever gonna find him, I would need to get my ever-loving ass out of there. I tried to be stealthy and sneak my
Проберитесь
way
через
past.
город. Момент.
Doesn't have a moment's peace. Where'd he get you?
Патроны.
You! But hell, if they weren't all waiting for me. Apparently, some of them thought I was Billy.
You hooligans can go to hell.
I'm ending you!
I'll flank him. He's in town somewhere.
See, me and the kid shared a certain similarity in build and coloring. I was just glad I had Deputy Bob's mean-ass shotgun.
Надо, наверное, концентрацию почаще юзать.
Get your headstone. There's children here.
We're gonna be in deep shit. So much lead was whizzing by my head, it was like everyone in Lincoln wanted to put me in the ground. I knew I needed to find a horse. Though I never did have a great fondness for those four-legged grass.
Голову насквозь.
Smelly, sweaty, ungrateful beasts. We prize them too high, if you ask me.
That was too damn close. Give it up. You're threatening the lives of innocent people.
Куда идти надо? Ага, вот сюда. Погнали.
That town's going to hell in a handbasket.
But where was the kid while you were busy getting shot at?
Gone. And that's when it occurred to me why.
Дробовик мы меняем на винтовку. И патрончики.
There he is.
Нахуя рефлексы, блядь.
So I could be a hapless decoy and draw attention while he snuck out of town. I knew if I made it out of there in one piece, no one would put a price on my head.
Because everybody in Lincoln would be dead?
No, because they all thought I was Billy, and all that blame would fall on him. Meanwhile, Deputy Bob Ollinger was organizing a posse to put me down.
Ты чё, сука, в спину
He
стреляешь?
was already a mean son of a bitch, but he was doubly pissed that I stole his mean-ass shotgun. Anyway, it was me or them, and the only way forward led me straight to perdition. But the cards were dealt, and I had no choice but to play them.
Get the women off the street. Arm yourself.
О,
Leave him to me. Don't let him get away. Now you're really pissing me off. You won't get away with this.
наверху, что ли? Да нет, вроде.
found what I was looking for. The stables on the edge of town.
I guess Billy saved your ass, taking out Bob Ollinger the way he did.
Billy didn't kill Bob.
Sure he did. He dispatched him right after he shot Deputy Bell.
No, sir. Because Bob came right up behind me, angry as hell that Billy had lit out. Hello, Bob, I said. I think you better let me go. And he says, I don't think so, boy. Not with my shotgun. So we stood there in the middle of the street, eyeball to eyeball. He intended to kill me, and I knew I had no choice but to defend myself.
Да хватит ходить туда-сюда, дай сфокуситься на тебе.
I killed him in a fair fight. Everybody saw I had no damn choice. Well,
В честной
Lincoln
схватке.
got a mite depopulated that day. Pat Garrett gunned down Billy 3 months later, so his escape was all for naught anyway.
So where'd you go after Lincoln?
Mexico. Until I realized nobody was looking for me. I ended up taking a job at the Rurales.
The Mexican Ruales?
I was hired to help them track down the cowboys.
The most vicious outlaw gang in Cochise County? Curly Bill Brocious? Johnny
Курчавый
Ringo?
Билл
Led by old man
Броуз.
Clanton himself.
They must have paid
Ну,
you a
если
pretty
бы
penny to take him
там
on
дедуля
pretty
прям.
soon.
Not really. But truth be told, I had my own reasons for going after those boys.
So was the bastard you were after now riding with the cowboys?
Roscoe Bob Bryant was his name.
Oh.
But no, this time it was a different bastard I was after. The aforementioned Mr. Ringo. And yes, he was working for old man Clanton. I came upon them robbing a stagecoach, which wasn't surprising, being they were such murderous thieves and bastards. The bandits wore red scarves, so I knew they worked for the old man. Over there! There! I did my best to help those poor passengers. Show yourself, coward! Moments later, the attackers were dead, and I checked the stagecoach to see how many passengers were still breathing. None. It was then I wondered if the rocks weren't hiding more bandits. Was that all of them? Or did I just hit the rear guard? I quickly got my answer. They attacked from on high like Apaches often did. They would appear in great numbers from above and rain down lead on their hapless enemies' heads, making use of the high ground and whatever else they had. Yep, the Apaches always appeared out of nowhere, and there never seemed to be an end to them.
Hold on. Were you attacked by Apaches? What happened to the cowboys?
Did I say they were Apaches? I said Clanton's cowboys attacked me Apache style. I was in a pitched battle, but I was holding my own against an overwhelming enemy force. See, at the time, I was still pretty green and would often blunder into regrettable situations. But I just kept shooting at anything I could see up at those damn rocks. I didn't see Ringo.
Блять, нихуя себе.
I knew he was with the cowboys. He and Roscoe Roscoe Bob had done me a dreadful wrong, and I was determined to have my revenge. But to get to Ringo, I knew I'd have to fight my way past these other assholes first.
He's getting away!
Unfortunately, I was running out of ammo. Another perfect example of my relative inexperience as a hunter of men. I immediately knew that a tactical retreat was called for, as my vengeful fury was much less impressive without the bullets to back it up.
Так, нужно куда-то съебаться. А куда?
Finally, they managed to corner me. Trapped as I was, the odds of my survival seemed pretty slim. Luckily, serendipity was on my side as I suddenly spotted a way out of my predicament.
Опа. И по съебатору.
I ran ahead as if the devil himself was after me. Bullets were whizzing by my ears, but I wasn't about to roll over and die. I just kept running like there was no tomorrow. Because there wouldn't be if Clanton and his men caught up with me. As I was scurrying around those caves, I thought, what was I thinking? Going up against a gang like this.
You're mine!
I just kept running, not knowing where the hell I was going. And that's when something miraculous happened. Like manna from heaven, I found the desiccated remains of what looked like an Apache warrior. The old weapon next to him supplied me with some much-needed ammunition. Bat Masterson once told me it was more important to be lucky than good, and he would know. And imagine my surprise when I found a fistful of dynamite to go along with that ammo. That stroke of good fortune evened the odds and bolstered my confidence. It was time to turn the tables. Time for the prey to become the predator. Time for the hunted to become the hunter. Time.
All right, Jesus, we get it. They were right where you wanted them.
That's right, Jack. I was done running. And the old man's boys were not expecting that. No, sir.
I got you now!
И я перестал убегать, начал их всех убивать. Не-не.
Came at them like a wildcat. My fury knew no bounds.
Shoot that little son of a bitch!
It was finally time for that old man to pay for his sins.
И как мне туда за ним залезть? Ладно, нахуй. Ручной Гатлин.
I yelled out at the top of my lungs, Clanton, I'm coming for you! A little stealth might have made more sense, to be perfectly honest. Because that old fool had a Gatling gun and enough bullets to last him till kingdom come. But I knew I could not let that deter me. Not if I was to find and kill Ringo. I needed to get that old man off that gun.
ты, блядь. А, вон он камень, вижу. Дальше сюда и сюда. А я отсюда не могу его шотнуть? Нет, не могу, он за своим пулеметом ебучим сидит.
Most everyone thought it was the Ruales who had come up against him in Guadalupe Canyon, but it was just me. Apparently, one of the cowboys made it out of there alive and told Ike and Billy Clanton that it wasn't a Mexican who took their father's life that day. They just assumed it was one of the Earps, and that little misunderstanding eventually led to that legendary gunfight at the OK Corral. A few weeks after that dust-up at the OK Corral, I was still after Johnny Ringo.
Так, я открыл гравированный рейнджер, блядь. Как мне его взять-то теперь, блядь? Никак?
I had tracked him and the cowboys to their hideout at a sawmill, and they were loaded for bear.
Ну ладно, погнали.
So, what exactly did Johnny Ringo do to piss you off?
Well, him and that other bastard.
Roscoe Bob Bryant?
Yep. They both deserve to die, and I promise I'll tell you why. But first I need to tell you about the cowboys' new boss, Curly Bill Brocious.
Herb's coming!
Get ready, boys.
Добрый день, да? Я вернулся.
Early Bill took charge of the cowboys upon the old
За
man's
хедшоты
demise.
доп опыт дают.
And after
Понял.
that gunfight at the OK Corral, the clans wanted revenge.
Ты чё, Вась, нахуй? Куда, бля, лезешь? Ну вы чё, мужики, я только побазарить хотел.
So they murdered Morgan Earp and grievously wounded his older brother Virgil.
Вы чё кидаетесь, нахуй?
Wyatt and Doc went on what became known as the
Новый
Vampire
уровень.
Ride, hunting those outlaws down.
Повышенный урон в концентрации. Отлично. Поехали.
So when I showed up, that's who they thought I was.
I'm tired of being shot at.
There were killers around every corner, all wearing red bandanas. That's how the cowboys identified each other. And and I was beginning to wish I had one myself.
You're done.
But I wasn't about to let Ringo walk away unscathed. And that's what drove me forward.
They say that Ringo was infernally fast.
Нихуя себе.
I hardly saw anyone faster.
Кританули в меня.
Certainly not Wyatt Earp. That man was all hat and no cap.
Ну, патроны.
Herb wasn't much of a match for him, but Doc Holliday might have taken him.
That lunger should have kept his nose out of it. They never charged anyone for the murder of Morgan Earp.
But everybody knew that Curly shot him in the back. That was common knowledge.
Yeah, maybe so. But Ringo had nothing to do with it. He was just being loyal to a friend.
Is that what you call it? Being loyal. Well, to get to that loyal friend, I had to pass by some buzzsaws as big as a man.
Вы погибли, блядь. От чего нахуй? Они ж там в ебенях, блядь, пролетели.
Show yourself, coward. God damn you! Show yourself!
Boom, headshot. Где засада?
Excuse me, sir. I have a question.
What's that, Dwight?
After old man Clanton died, why didn't his son take over the Cowboys?
Because Ike Clanton was dumber than a box of rocks and a yellow belly to boot. Now, where was I?
Taking down the entire cowboy gang single-handed.
Indeed I was, Jack.
Блять, отпиздили нахуй. Наверное, все-таки врываться не лучшая затея.
Though it wasn't easy, as those boys had good cover.
Can't believe you keep missing.
that sucker! Oh, kill him! That's right. Run!
Да что, блядь, за доска там мотыляется, нахуй.
Boy, you are shit out of luck. Can you shoot around corners?
Где вы, блядь?
You come out and I will. Leg him. You gonna need a cannon. Come on, smoke that son of a bitch. Oh, now what? Give me none.
Ёптать. Не увидел его, нахуй.
Into the kill. Don't let that asshole get away with this.
Ебать.
I'm sick of dealing with you. Die, damn it! There were carts everywhere, piles of lumber, and God knows what else for people to hide behind. That really was one hell of a sawmill. Quite an impressive operation.
And where was Curly Bill? Did you see him?
I'm about to get to that, Ben. Patience. I'm painting a picture here. There was this beautiful waterfall and a crystal clear
Так,
stream.
ну обрез мне нахуй не
Valley
нужен.
that was truly,
Consider your picture painted. What happened next?
well, finally the bastards that were still alive made a last stand.
Последний очаг обороны. Куда идти-то, ёпт?
Curly Bill, Johnny Ringo, and his compadres took off into the lumber yard, and I followed after.
Хлопнет, зарядит и хлопнет. Опять дверь? Нет.
Are you saying they ran? Cowardice was not in Ringo nor Curly Bill's nature.
No, sir. I never said they were running scared. They just wanted me out in the open.
You asshole! Working for Wyatt Earp. Did that sumbitch Earp send you to kill me? Come out wherever you are. Let's see what you got.
Lucius gave me no choice but to take his life. But Ringo was nowhere to be found.
I knew you didn't kill Ringo, because he was found dead in a different location altogether.
To this day, his killer is still unknown.
Indeed. Took me a few months before I finally tracked his ass to West Turkey Creek Canyon.
Следующий. Кто станет у руля и схватит пулю. Ага.
That's incredible, sir. I always thought that Doc Holliday was the one that killed him.
Sorry I had to ruin the legend for you, boy. But the legend ain't always true. Doc Holliday had nothing to do with the death of Johnny Ringo.
Честно убито.
I was paid a healthy bounty for Ringo and Curly Bill, and realized there was real money to be made. That's why I went after Henry Plummer.
Now, wasn't he the sheriff who augmented his income by shaking down miners and robbing gold shipments?
That's the one.
Oh, yeah, I remember him. He ran that gang of thieving outlaws called the Innocents.
So it's true that you went toe-to-toe with him?
Indeed I did, son. Indeed I did.
Продолжим.
I knew I needed resources if I was going to track down Roscoe Bob Bryant. And hunting Plummer looked like a good way to get rich quick.
Почему шестизарядник? У меня же открыт какой-то новый ствол.
Exposed him as the leader of the bandits.
Гравированный рейнджер. Здорово, Серег. Да, я трахаю свое ушко пальчиками.
Plummer rallied his gang to plunder one last gold mine before making their escape. And that's where I thought I'd find him.
Блин, чё? Вчера весь вечер с температурой провалялся. Блин, хуёво тебя. Лечись, дружище. Даже в доту не сел. Ну это вообще пиздец печально. А я вот решил в Call of Juarez поиграть. В силу своей рисованной графики, как в комиксах немножечко, она даже сейчас не особо устарела. Отравление, наверное. Скушал что-то не то. Вы чё, сукины дети, блядь? Опа, новый уровень. Больше концентрации. Это Call of Juarez, ганслингеров. Ты чё, сука? Дурак, что ли? Больно, блядь. Пуль стреляет, блядь. Опа. Опа. Гравированный рейнджер. Это мне нравится. Это вестерн про крутого чувака на Диком Западе, который хуярит всех. Можете стрелять по динамитным шашкам в воздухе. Хуя себе. Я крутой, что ли? Ой-я. О, взорвем их.
Some were just regular folks I knew from town, drawn by greed and easy pickings. Charlie Crow, blacksmith. James, who worked in the stable. Sam and Jeremiah Barber, the butcher's sons.
Напоминает какую-то игру. Они вестерны на самом деле друг друга все напоминают. Там их Call of Juarez много частей. Там помимо этой еще, по-моему, 3.
Stone cold killers trained on the bloody fields of Shiloh and Antietam. Dangerous, desperate individuals. Plummer had a lot of men on his payroll. A hell of a lot. That son of a bitch pretended to protect the public with
На дальняк лучше с винтовочки.
He set up a defensive perimeter which I had no idea how to breach.
Напоминает Borderlands. Но в борде, да, там тоже рисованная графика. И похоже, да, по сеттингу. Ёптать, откуда ты в меня стреляешь там? Иди нахуй. Уволен, блядь. Циферки урона, кровяка, надписи при убийстве, прикольно, да. Нет, не циферки урона, это циферки, сколько мне опыта дают за убийство.
Some kind of hero.
Я думаю, мне сюда идти. Не внушает мне доверие эта постройка. Прям вообще нет. Хули делать, надо идти. Я помню эту миссию.
But once I made my decision, I knew there was no turning back. So my first thought was to enter the nearest mine portal. I saw an entrance. Made sense. It was the quickest way in, but that also made it more dangerous.
Ну и поехали по самому быстрому и опасному пути. Можно как-то поточнее, блядь, стрелять, нахуй? Вась, ты ж самый крутой чувак на Диком Западе. Дробовик мне нахуй не усрал. Эй! Больно, блядь, чё стреляешь, охуел? Совсем, блядь? Ёбнулся нахуй. Момент.
Besides, once you enter a mine like that, it's easy to get all turned around. And that confusing maze of corridors wouldn't even be
Вчера
worth
сгорела жопа с атомик карта. Сложная? Понятно.
Some of those shafts could be as deep as hell. A single stumble or misstep can easily end in a deadly plunge to oblivion. Leave him to me. You must be about out of bullets. Come on out, you yellow bastard. Quick reflexes often make up for a lack of common sense. Luckily, I was never one to be easily bushwhacked.
Блять. Да сука, ну опять эта хуета нахуй. Пиздец. Я сейчас вот так вот сделаю. Меня вроде слышно. Сейчас. Вот так вот. Заебали ебланы, блядь. Ну делаете вы ремонт сами, блядь. Сверлите. Ну купи ты на ебаном Озоне, блядь, индикатор, блядь, проводки, нахуй. Он стоит, блядь, 2 косаря ебучих, блядь. Вроде норм шутан всегда был, а тут захуярили DLC в виде платформера, раннера. Если я захочу платформер, я пойду не в Atomic Heart.
I would just need to be careful not to blow myself to Kingdom Come.
Это пиздец, блядь. Пойти этого долбоеба и разбить ему ебло, блядь. За то, что он конченый, блядь. Из серьезной игры сделали детский психодел. Самое смешное в другом в чем.
With all that gunpowder and dynamite everywhere, a body has to know what he's shooting at. All it takes is one tiny spark,
Понятно.
and boom.
В эти ящики наоборот не надо было стрелять.
Time to blow your shit up. One wrong bullet could have turned that mine into a dad-blasted tube.
Ова, видал нахуй, как умею, блядь. После того, как я побегал в это дерьмо и вышел, они попросили пройти опрос. Какой, понравилось тебе или нет? Сейчас один момент по телефону поговорю. Так, по телефону я поговорил. Ага. Есть такой вопрос. Что вам больше всего понравилось? Платформер, раннер, еще какая-то хуйня? Ничего. Конечно, блядь, ничего. Ну, блин. Таков путь, таков путь.
I freely admit that my plan of attack was not
Да
just
ебать,
for
что
honor,
нахуй?
but
Что
really
меня убило,
for
блядь?
sight.
От чего я умер, блядь? От чего я теперь умер, блядь? Может, просто надо вперед бежать? Или как можно быстрее? Воу, нихуя! Уху! Ебать, в полете нахуй, хэдшоты раздал, блядь.
It's a
Блядь.
good thing that I abandoned that ridiculous plan before I even tried it. Instead, I spotted a ladder. A way into the
То
mine
есть
from
я
the
это
opposite
говно
side.
просто так проходил, да? Пиздец.
It was a long way around, but that approach seemed more sensible at the time. Of course, being I had a problem with heights, that scaffolding scared the bejesus out of me. Climbing down that ladder required some caution. Because even though I had a younger
Лестницы.
man's reflexes, no man can dodge a damn bullet while climbing down a rickety ladder. I needed to make a leap of faith. Which ain't easy when you're suspended between heaven and hell.
Как туда, блядь, попасть? Понял. Прыгать не надо было. Сразу бы так сказали. Что затея хуета. Чем пройду эту хуету и прямиком в резидент.
I was determined not to give up, however.
Ага, все-таки надо было прыгать.
That Sheriff Plummer seemed quite the despicable character. When the vigilantes discovered what the sheriff was up to, people were outraged. That 10,000 they put on his head would go a long way to helping me find old Bob. And I had made it my
Сколько у меня
mission
ММР
to
в
settle
доте?
that score come hell or high water.
1400, по-моему, сейчас.
But first, I would have to make a choice. Take the elevator or climb the ladder.
Отсюда я пришел. Я вижу трупы. Тут тупик. Значит, шлепаем сюда. А, это лестница. Я на лифте, нахуй.
I picked the more convenient and more dangerous route.
При хороших раскладах до двушки поднять за неделю. А дальше на интернет что? Оптимистично, оптимистично. Можно уже выключить эту хуйту там, блядь? Заебло. Эй! Не стреляй ты! Я ваш братишка.
Plummer was a mad dog killer, and the people of Nevada City deserved better.
Nevada City?
И
I
поебу мне
thought Plummer
нахуй.
met his maker in Bannock, Montana.
Да, я звук за сигналки убавил. Чтоб по ушам не шлепал его.
Right, well, he was was the sheriff of both places at one time or another, but that's neither here nor there. The point was, taking him down would save a lot of lives, including...
Как всегда в ванной. Ну, сейчас я чуть-чуть буквально добавлю. Вот так вот, я думаю, будет норм. Как всегда, нежишься в ванночке. Но вероятнее всего мне не сюда. Блять. Грация кошки, ловкость картошки, блять. Просто взял, сам спрыгнул вниз. С 7 утра на ногах, на работу хочу, сил нет, тошно дома сидеть. Бля, я не хочу на работу, блять, мне прикольно дома сидеть. Но все же в понедельник я договорился на собеседование, пойду. Со складом меня обломали немножко. Пойду мебелью торговать. Так, давайте, хпшечки, восстанавливайтесь. Мне нравится дома сидеть. В 9 собес был вроде норм, но хз, моя ебало не внушает доверия. Блять, ну прикинь, вот я сижу, играю, у меня в натуре дом горит, блять. Будет, блять, смерть в прямом эфире, нахуй. Ой, не, нахуй, наушники надеваем обратно. А то прям там нормально так ебошит. Законник, бандит, отступник. Генри Планнер. Ну эта гнида сейчас будет это, блядь.
Henry Plummer was clearly unhinged, and I could see right away that this was going to take some doing.
Так, ну я так полагаю, лучше спрятаться с этим. Да блядь. Ебать, ебать разъебывают. Да блядь. Новый уровень. Что дают мне? Будьте еще более смертоносной в своей убийственной ярости. Начиная с 4-го комбо пули будут наносить плюс 100% урона. Ага, отлично.
So that's how Henry
Голову
Plummer
насквозь
died.
особо
Him and his
опасно.
crew were worth their weight in gold. And
О.
now, I was officially
Сигналка закончилась. Можно обратно себя поднимать. Ну и игрульку чуть-чуть поднять. Ну, в игре настройки вообще максимально конченые. Я звук пополам урезал, блять, а он все так же долбит по ушам, блять.
So, did you finally go after that Bob feller?
Well, I heard word he was in Kansas with John Wesley Hardin. So that's where I went.
Where in Kansas?
Abilene. Why do you ask, Ben?
No reason.
Was Hardin as fast as Ringo?
Ringo was fast, but John Wesley was as
Так, потому
fast
что
as
я еще в ОБС-ке звук, блять, пополам убрал. Она в настройках игры, вот я звук выключил, блять, ну, потише сделал. Она вообще нахуй не реагирует на это. А, я же могу еще наушнички потише сделать, чтобы мне по ушам не лупило. Чё-то я не додумался сразу.
I dodged death many a time, and that night in Abilene.
Уба! Вот это заварушка, нахуй. Чуть погромче.
I was there with the intention of finding that bastard Bob and collecting the bounty on John Wesley. Watch where you're shooting.
Ты чё там, Вась?
I thought the Texas Rangers got heart.
Да не нужен мне ваш дробовик,
That's what they
отъебитесь.
want you to believe. It was Colden, a witch's tip
Ты что делаешь в игре ОБС,
that
ты
night as I fought my way past his
Ну
loyal
да, я вот сейчас так и сделал. Я что-то сразу не додумался до этого. Только когда уже по ушам настигало мне, нахуй.
to the very same saloon we're sitting in today.
Врываемся в бар.
Look around and imagine this place painted in
А,
blood.
а тут уже, блядь, никого, нахуй.
Hardin was waiting for me. And
Тут уже всех отпиздошили. Опа.
wait, I'm jumping the gun here. Let me back up and give you some background on this sumbitch. He deserves that much. Don't you think so, Ben? John Wesley Hardin was a killer.
Джон Уэсли Хардин был
By the
убийцей.
end, he confessed to taking the lives of 42 men. Fathers and husbands, brothers and sons, men with families who cared about them. He was a bona fide folk hero by then, and had amassed a gang of armed
Короче.
miscreants and other assorted thugs. He and his men set up camp
Это
outside of
какой-то
town,
тоже крутой
and I was
чувак.
hoping Bob was among them. Shit. They didn't ask why I was there. They knew. Most of them were wanted as well. I had to spill a lot of blood to find out Hardin wasn't in that camp. He was carousing in town with his closest friends. Hardin's boys apparently didn't want me to reach the Bull's Head. Some were hightailing it into town to inform their Hefe of my unwelcomed presence.
Весьма нешатейливый шатунчик. Ну да.
Let the boys know we got another law dog.
Да. Просто линейный шутанчик. В стиле вестерна, все как я люблю. Блядь, откуда вы там стреляете, нахуй, я не пойму. Я же могу палатку прострелить? Почему не могу палатку прострелить, блядь? Ёбнулись совсем? 45-й калибр не простреливает ткань. Да нет, просто пока решил на что-то другое отвлечься. Я вчера поигрывал вечерком. Ну, точнее, уже ночью. Он этот Call of Juarez такой, не растянутый.
I wondered if Bob was among them.
Тут в этом плане охуительный баланс. То, что, ну, вот такая линейность и однообразный геймплей, он типа заебывает быстро. Но здесь игра не сильно длинная, не затянутая, и она, ну, не успевает надоесть за то время, пока ты ее проходишь. Ну и плюс истории интересные. Если прям вчитываться. Куда идти-то надо? В ту сторону.
And I steeled myself for the fight ahead. For as good as I was, deep down I wondered if John Wesley wasn't just a little bit better.
Доползти-то, блядь. Куда? Я зря спрыгнул, да, здесь? Надо идти по дороге.
Before I could test my mettle against
Что,
Harding,
блядь?
however,
Салюты, нахуй.
I would first need to dispatch his cadre of
Давай,
hired
иди,
killers.
страдай. Надо с чем разобраться. Да. Эта двухфакторка, она просто, блядь, весь мозг съедает нахуй. Я так понимаю, ты начинаешь стримы часа в 2, да? В час в 2. Поэтому успеваешь залететь на часочек ко мне.
Most of these degenerates were beyond redemption, but John Wesley might have been a different story. I didn't learn until later that that night was in fact his birthday celebration. Can't get a good shot at it. Watch where you're shooting.
Могу здесь пройти. Зато я могу здесь найти секрет. О, новый уровень. Револьвер с костяной ручкой. Надо его теперь где-нибудь найти.
I think I already mentioned mention that I found Hardin in this very saloon. Suffice it to say, nobody there was happy to see me.
Man can shoot.
In fact, I felt a certain hostility. I was disappointed that neither Bob nor John Wesley were among the dead. But that was short-lived, as a moment later I was facing down the fastest gun in the West.
Первый раз убил в 15. Убил человека за храп. И еще 40 просто за то, что дышать. Нихуёвый такой, блядь, кролик Роджер.
I felt a bolt of adrenaline. Or maybe that was fear. He was well known for his tricks. And I
Здорово, здорово,
if I was
Никитосик.
ever to defeat him.
Не в ту сторону уклонился я, да? Это Call of Juarez, Ганслингера, как я вчера и говорил. Да в смысле, я же уклонился? Как понять, в какую сторону надо уклоняться-то? Да в смысле, ебать? Я сейчас что-нибудь разъебу, блядь. Ебать, да как это пройти, нахуй? Пиздец, блядь.
That man was faster than greased lightning. But being inebriated as he was, he didn't count his shots. And now, he was at my mercy.
So we didn't.
Да его
No,
нахуй.
I sent him to prison. Years later, after he was free, some restless avenger took his life. Shot him in the back in a saloon just like this one.
Блядь,
Anybody
нихуя
up for
себе.
another beer? Ben? Thank you, darling. Yeah, some say revenge is a dish best served cold.
So whatever happened to that Bob guy you were after?
Personally, I'd like to hear some of your other adventures. Like, I don't know, did you ever go toe-to-toe with a red man?
Эпизод
Yes, I
5.
did, Ben. I remember once I was after this renegade Apache, Grey Wolf. Strangely enough, revenge was also his primary motivation.
Танцы с отступниками. Сколько всего эпизодов? Call of Juarez, Gunslinger. Прохождение. Всего эпизодов 7. Нихуя. Нихуя не 7. 8. 8, 7 повтор. Это 9. 10 получается. То есть я за 1,5 часа полигры прошел. Нормально. За один стрим пройду, я думаю. Блять, опять села, нахуй. Надо было на ночь на зарядку поставить. Еще надо еще одну зарядку купить и просто ее на свет пустить.
And the slaughter was unspeakable. I understood his anger, as there's nothing more traumatic than seeing those you
Ты-ты-ты-ты-ты.
Right from the beginning, I couldn't shake the feeling that Grey Wolf was watching my every move. He led a band of young Apache warriors who wanted retribution and were more than willing to die for him.
Контрольная точка. Сейчас, значит, начнется замес. Так, мне не туда надо, значит, мне надо туда.
They saw me before I saw them.
Опа. Чик. На камушках они сидят, блядь.
And it crossed my mind that maybe this wasn't such a good idea. But now that the shooting had started, there was no backing down.
Да ебать. Хедшотики, ебать, повесил нахуй. Ты чё, Вась? Ну пусть будет хотя бы гравированный рейнджер, блядь. Где мой, блядь, револьвер с костяной ручкой, я хуй пойму.
It was rugged country, the winter home of the Chiricahuas, and that's why they had retreated there. I admit to having some regrets about going after them the way I did. But then again, I got a lot of those.
Хватит ногой дрыгать, дурак, блядь.
Did you find Grey Wolf?
Not at that moment, but I did find the entrance to their hideout. Deep crevice that led to a deeper cave.
Don't tell me you're in there.
Yeah, but it's not out of bravery so much as pure, angry cussedness.
Защите в пещере серого волка. Ладно. Ух ты ж, блядь.
See, back then, I had a stubborn streak a mile wide, and I wasn't about to back down.
So it was like pitch black in there?
Actually, it was pretty well lit, as they had torches on the walls.
Апачи, блядь. Куда идти-то, ёптать? Тех я тут отпиздил. Туда я не могу. Туда. Ой-ой-ой. Нормально жахнул. Ультра килл.
How big was his cave?
Big as hell, Ben. Chiricahua had hid out there during the Indian Wars. They thought it was haunted with the ghosts of those murdered by the horse soldiers.
The cave was haunted with dead Indian ghosts?
To be honest, I was more concerned with the live ones than the dead ones.
Новый уровень.
How come you know so much about engines?
A few years back, I was married to two Mescalero women.
At the same time?
Yeah, they were sisters. Polygyny is traditional among the Mescalero.
So what happened?
Oh, I had to get out. Time drove me half crazy. Haven't seen them since.
no, I mean, what
Мне
happened with
кажется,
Grey
в
Wolf?
этом месте...
Oh.
А, не.
Well, I pursued him into the cave of death.
Так, шестизарядник мне не нужен. Спасибо. Я хочу, сука, свой, блядь. Револьвер, нахуй, с костяной ручкой. Че за хуйта? Я нахуя его вкачивал?
I came upon this flooded grotto, and that's when I saw him. He came to me unarmed and unafraid. His voice echoed in the shadows, and I sensed he meant me no harm.
You carry great darkness in your heart, and if you do not release it, it will claim your soul.
The sound of his voice put some kind of ancient Indian spell
Никитосик, я так понимаю, ушел.
as his story unfolded in my mind.
You will come to this place again and kill many more men, and the darkness will grow until it consumes everything that you are. The soul would have no rainbow if the eye had no tears.
He said I was a great warrior, a coyote man, unequaled by any other pale-faced warrior, or something like that.
The snakes will bite shadows of your past until a venom poisons your heart, and an echo of the song of the dead summons the spirits deep from within the mountains.
I didn't quite get what he was saying, but there was definitely snakes. And indeed, his warriors surrounded me and attacked me like hungry wolverines. They couldn't stop me, though, and Grey Wolf wasn't in the mood for idle talk. I swear I couldn't see any way out of this trap. But suddenly, one just appeared. Kind of like a mirror.
Ищите серого волка в пещере.
I felt like I would be lost in that damn cave forever. Finally, I found myself back outside, perched on the edge of a precipice, overlooking a thundering whitewater river. To get where I was going required several leaps of faith, but no way in hell I was turning back. I chased after him, determined to make him explain the meaning of all that mumbo-jumbo.
Mumbo-jumbo's right. Are you making this all up as you go?
A few details may be fuzzy, brother, but I am relating exactly what happened to me. There were dozens of Apache warriors aiming at me from on high.
Dozens?
Well, maybe not dozens, but there was a lot of them.
At least 3 or 4.
Well, more than that, little lady. a steep climb up creek ahead of me and scrambled up those rocks like a mountain goat. I was determined to locate Grey Wolf and find out exactly what the hell he was trying to tell me.
Что он хотел тебе сказать? Он хотел тебе сказать, иди нахуй отсюда, блядь, Вась.
And wouldn't you know it, that crafty son of a bitch led me right into a trap.
What kind of trick?
Well, son, there had to be at least 100 Apaches surrounding me.
Хуёвый рефлекс, блядь.
100? God
Просто
be my
прокрутился,
witness.
пиздошил всех
Oh,
нас.
come on. Who you kidding?
Hey, I believe you. Come on, tell us how it ended.
All right, but I'm not gonna drag this out. Where were we?
You were surrounded by 100 Apache warriors.
Well, I didn't take the time to count them exactly, but there were a lot of them. And in the end, a path appeared before me that I had not seen before. I followed it as I desperately needed to find out what Grey Wolf was trying to tell me. But it was like that son of a bitch disappeared into thin air. Never did find him. And never did collect my goddamn bounty. Thank you, darling. It's interesting how the truth can sometimes seem might malleable, depending upon your point of view.
Like how those dime novels make you out to be something you're not?
Jack, don't be starting trouble.
No, he's right. They do tend to exaggerate.
Did they exaggerate your part in taking down the Daltons?
Well, I was there in the flesh, boy, so I saw what happened firsthand.
100 эпизод.
Those Daltons were lawmen once, before they all went bad, robbing banks and trains clear across the territory. Until Coffeeville, of course. I was one of the citizens who took up arms that day.
Fighting on the side of right?
I did my best, sir. We all did.
Меня зовут Охотником за головами.
It was early morning. One of my friends was a local gunsmith, and he handed out firearms to anybody who'd take one. You see, the Daltons got it in their heads to rob 2 banks at the same time. 2 banks on the same damn street. Story was Bob Dalton's girl was always writing him about how he had no ambition. Oh, you're nobody next to Jesse James, she'd say. Finally, the bastard took his brothers to Coffeeville just to shut her up. Well, the locals recognized the Daltons right off. Before they could get away, half the town took up arms to defend their property. Their first mistake was pulling a job in their own damn hometown. brothers paid dearly for their stupidity. But everybody knows they had it coming.
There's more to it than that. I read all about that day, so I know for a fact that it went down very differently. First of all, it was high noon. A posse of U.S. deputy marshals were on the rooftop across the street.
Get ready, boys. They're gonna make a move.
The lawmen had been tracking the Daltons for months. Now they finally had
Блять,
a
эти
dead
боты
to
вообще
rights.
стреляют,
Among
нет?
them was a bounty hunter feared by many a lawbreaker. The marshals tried to get the Daltons to surrender.
They'll give up eventually. We just gotta wait the son of the bitches out.
This bounty hunter knew that the brothers were far too proud to ever lay down their guns. He went in there alone to confront those criminals. One of the marshals shouted, "Where are you going? Are you crazy?"
Hey, where do you think you're going, dumbass? That rifle's mine.
But he paid him no mind. He saw a way to get around to the back of the bank. Then he figured out how to hit the Daltons from a direction they weren't expecting. From above. Fortunately, a water tower was right there. A moment later, he was climbing up a steep ladder, laughing at danger as he did. It was brave men like him who risked their lives to tame this wild country.
We've got company.
Heroic men like him, who did what other men couldn't or wouldn't to make this country free.
Is that Silas Greaves? Son of a bitch!
Jim Boone, and Davy Crockett, who died defending the Alamo.
Hide, you lily-livered son of a bitch!
Brother, I'm gonna make you pay for that.
Over there! That's Silas Greaves. What the hell?
Blam! Blam! He came away victorious, taking down those thieving Daltons. His name was Silas Greaves, and when the dust finally settled, he was the last man standing.
Sorry, kid, but that just wasn't the way it happened. It was early evening, not high noon. The Daltons blew up a safe, and were all set to hightail it out of there. I was late to the party, and Coffeyville was already up in arms. Those pathetic deputies surrounding the bank were dropping like flies.
Лидер-любовник лох. Боб Эммет
I've been
Грет.
tracking those jokers for months, waiting for them to do something reckless. And finally, they did. Those stupid bastards decided to rob 2 banks at the same time in the same town where everybody knew them. But they still had friends in Coffeyville.
О, револьвер с костяной ручкой как раз.
What are you gonna do?
Ну давай, Вась, вылази. На нахуй. На тебе поеблу нахуй.
Those friends came after me like a pack of wild dogs, tooth and nail. They were coming at me from all directions. I caught sight of the Daltons running with the money and didn't want to lose them. Problem was, they knew the town better than I did. And to top it off, I found myself in the middle of another shootout entirely.
Did the Daltons hole up in somebody's house?
No, it was the Smiths, I believe. They were cousins of the Daltons. And they were shooting at the Browns, who were shooting at the Daltons. Which wasn't any surprise, because those two families have been feuding forever. And since the Joneses are related to the Browns, they shot at the Smiths, pissing off the Heimhoffers, whose daughter recently married a Smith. Well, bullets were flying every which way as all the old feuds in Kansas caught fire all at once. There was a hell of a lot of pissed off people in Coffeyville that day. But that's just the way life is sometimes. Shit happens. The Dalton boys knew I would never give up. Those Daltons weren't the sharpest knives in the drawer, but they always stood together. They set a trap to slow me down and allow at least two of them to escape. The third brother stayed behind to plant me, just in case that trap of theirs didn't work.
Куда идти-то надо? Все правильно, я пошел.
It was Emmett, the youngest, and he decided to stand his ground and face me down.
I ain't afraid of you, Silas Greaves. This is where it ends for you.
He was determined to protect his brothers. I understood how he felt. Taking me on all by his lonesome wasn't exactly a recipe for a long fight.
Blow your damn head clean off! Gonna beat you like a red-headed stepchild.
But Emmett Dalton survived the robbery in Coffeyville. He's the only Dalton who did.
They say he was shot 23 times.
Well, Dwight, who do you think put all those damn holes in him? But I have to admit, that boy had grit.
Я все еще охотник за головами.
We'll get those suckers.
It took me a couple of days to track the Daltons down.
They can't get away with this.
And in that time, a whole posse of local vigilantes offered to lend a hand.
We'll track him to the ends of the earth.
They seemed as determined as me to find those outlaws. But as we headed into those swamps, it was like I had my own private army. There was no way those boys were getting away this time.
It was early fall, right? Beautiful time of year. At least you had the weather on your side.
Not by my recollection. It was damp and foggy as hell. It was tough to stay on a true course, so we kept an eye out for landmarks.
Следить за ориентирами. Блять, игра сделана просто как коридор, блять. С ботами, нахуй.
It was autumn. The maple trees were in full color, red as blood. The rains that year were torrential, so the whole area was flooded. The vigilantes had spread out wide, and pretty soon I couldn't see anybody.
Bury 'em in the swamp. Plant 'em where they stand.
Except for some bitches ahead of me wanting to do me harm. So I had to face them alone. I wondered why my compatriots didn't come running when they heard the shots.
So did you find the Daltons?
Not yet, but I did have the questionable pleasure of meeting a few of their friends. The boys had established quite a reputation by that time, so they attracted all manner of riffraff to their cause. And my reinforcements was nowhere to be seen. Point being, I was under serious attack.
Kill that goddamn bounty hunter.
I think we're in trouble. That was too damn close.
But luckily, a barn materialized as if right before my eyes. I scrambled up top to get a better view. But just ended up falling inside.
So, how did you get out?
The barn doors was open. About right then, I saw some suspicious characters running for the bushes. Of course, I followed them.
You know you can't.
But that goddamn swamp was like a goddamn maze, and pretty soon I had no goddamn idea where I was. Steve? So I just started walking, and pretty soon Steve. Steve.
Huh? Oh, no, I'm listening.
Indians surrounded me from all sides.
Indians? There were Indians?
No. I just wanted to make sure Steve was paying attention. Now, where was I?
You were following the Daltons through a swamp?
That's right. See, Steve? Dwight's paying attention.
No, I'm listening. I was just resting my eyes.
So, where was I?
The Daltons.
Right. See, there's a reason so many outlaw gangs are made up of brothers. Being a brother is a very
Братские
sacred
узы
thing.
священные
It's a
нерушимые.
bond like no other.
Bounty hunters! Stop that, son of a bitch!
Новый уровень. Все. Револьвер прокачал на
Ever
максимум.
find the damn Daltons?
Not yet, but I did find a few of their cousins. You Kansans breed like rabbits. More Smiths or Heimhoffers or who knows what. But hell, what's more important than family? I'll bet Ben knows what I'm talking about.
Kill Green!
Somebody kill that son of a bitch! I got you! Oh, here I do now. What are you gonna do? Oh, now what? This is too good for a You can't get me.
Ненавижу щитоносцев, блядь.
It's crazier than a shithouse rat.
Вот это нихуя себе. Бать, что так жестко? Откуда меня вообще пиздошек, блядь? Я себе прям под носом не видел чуваканов.
I knew those Dalton boys were out there somewhere, standing together against anyone who would threaten them.
Кажется, сейчас босс-файт будет.
That's when I saw it. A goddamn steamboat.
A steamboat in a swamp?
Yeah, Steve, but this wasn't much more than a wreck, really.
But how'd a damn steamboat end up in the swamps?
Yes, it floated off during the flood of '89.
Now, was it a stern wheeler or a side wheeler?
What? Does that really make a difference, Steve? It was a steamboat with a goddamn army on board. It was in that a fusillade of bullets come raining down from on high, and those vigilantes who accompanied me weren't anywhere to be found. But among those men that were shooting at me, I thought I saw some familiar faces.
That's it, Ringo.
Somewhere up there, the Daltons were waiting on me.
Oh yeah. Новый ствол.
Sounds like you don't give up too easy.
That's the kind of man I am, Ben. I set out to do something. I do it. Surrender just ain't in my nature. Plus, I'm stubborn as hell.
That's right. Run! Come on! Kill him!
Right about then, much to my relief, the vigilantes finally arrived. Their leader motioned at a cabin in the middle of the top deck, pointing me directly at the Daltons. I finally had them, after months of dogged pursuit. But it turned out that they had me.
Take him out! I'm sending you to hell!
The Daltons had played me like a fiddle.
After all this.
Apparently, the vigilantes were on their damn payroll. They didn't just want to shoot me. They wanted to burn me alive. But finding my way out of a burning labyrinth proved to be quite a challenge.
It was a riverboat, right? I mean, it's not like it was a goddamn ocean liner.
Well, yeah, but I was in a
Did you
fight.
hear about that ship that's gonna launch next year? The largest one in the world.
You're talking about the Titanic. If you ask me, it's too blessed to. I don't think it'll even float.
So anyway,
Don't be stupid, Steve. They know what they're doing. They say that the Titanic is unsinkable.
oh God,
But getting back to that steamboat, how did you get off it, Mr. Greaves?
I took in a lot of smoke that day, so I admit my recollection might be a bit hazy. But somehow I managed to finally disembark. It was time to settle this once and for all. weren't about to come at me one at a time. They were in this together. Two brothers side by side, determined to take me down. Confident that this time the odds were on their side.
История запомнит вас как труса. Мне это не подходит.
They got it wrong. A sad end for those two. If they'd only known that Emmett was still alive despite his wounds. Paroled 14 years later, he moved to California and sold real estate and lived off the legend of that fateful day. And the tragic death of his two brothers. My own brothers died tragically as well, truth be told.
7-й эпизод.
It was 1868, and me and my older brothers were pulling a tidy profit running cattle into Juarez, Mexico. One night after my brothers retired for the evening, I found a little poker game in a cantina with a couple of cowboys. And I just
Просто не
couldn't
смог
lose.
проигрывать.
I even won an
Даже
old
выиграл
Spanish
старую
coin
испанскую
that had to
монету,
be
которая должна
100
была
years old.
100 лет.
Well,
На 50 утра я был очень доволен собой, как мои братья, и отправился в Техас. Но не успели мы пересечь границу, как эти ковбои нагнали нас. Джонни Ринго, Роско Боб Брайант, подонок по имени Джим. Они хотели вернуть свои деньги и все остальное, что у нас было. Подло.
Bob put that old Spanish coin in my mouth and said, I won't have it said that I left you with nothing, boy. Well, those horses bolted, and there we hung as those bastards rode away. The branch finally snapped under the weight of the three of us, but being my older brothers were bigger and heavier, they were already dead. And right then I swore to myself that I would avenge them. Ringo you know about. But Bob eluded me, until I heard he was riding with the Wild Bunch. I'd been on their trail for months, ever since they left their hideout in the Bighorn Mountains. Led by Butch Cassidy, they were a loose association of outlaws who robbed banks and trains from Colorado to Montana. Among them was the Sundance Kid, and that murderous hombre I was tracking, Roscoe Bob Bryant.
Were you a part of that giant Pinkerton posse after the Wild Bunch?
Начнем винтовку качать тогда, чё?
A circus like that would have slowed me down. Besides, I wanted Bryant all to myself. I'd heard about a large shipment of gold being transported to Wilcox, Wyoming on the Overland Flyer. I figured the Wild Bunch would likely hit such a treasure, and by God, I figured right.
Вот там уже суета.
They blew the bridge with the intention of forcing the train to stop. Well, I assumed the Wild Bunch was likely in the still intact part of the train high above. I was determined to make that sumbitch Bob pay for what he did to my brothers.
Блять, нахуй я сюда зашел? Еблан, блять. Наверное, все-таки туда не надо идти. И все-таки надо, но очень быстро. Пути назад у меня уже нету. Я понял.
I found the device they used to blow the tracks, so I knew I was headed in the right direction.
My ears are still ringing from blowing up that bridge.
What'd you say? I can't hear a goddamn thing.
Well, I made my way off unscathed and came upon a few members of the gang and had no choice but to dispatch them. From there, I had to negotiate an even more precarious route. But first, I would need to get my ass out of there.
Но тут уже делать нехуй, поэтому идем в тоннель. Вы отклоняетесь от истории. Все-таки туда. Ладно, идем сюда. Запрыгните на мост.
I jumped from the
Новый
frying
уровень.
pan into the fire as the train was clearly fixing to fall.
Топ патроны для винтовки.
I had found the gang, but in order to find old Bob, I needed to fight my way forward past a whole passel of desperados. Outside, inside, any way I could, I made my way towards my prey.
Now you're really pissing me off. What in tarnation?
Well, what about the passengers?
It was mostly a freight train, as I recall. There were no passengers aboard that day. As I mentioned before, I am not fond of heights. But I was too busy dodging bullets to worry about falling to my death. Odds were I was likely to die that day anyway. So I was determined to take down as many of those bastards as I could. At times it was like shooting ducks in a shooting gallery. The only difference is these damn ducks shot back.
Бада-бум, блядь. Что мне надо сделать? А, по лестнице подняться.
I kept hoping the law would show up and give me a
You mean
hand.
like that giant Pinkerton posse that I read about? Did they come riding in, guns a-blazing to help?
Банда Пинкерманов.
Help? From the Pinkertons? No, son. I had to fight the Wild Bunch all by my lonesome, as usual.
Who the hell is that? He's out of his mind! Take cover! Retreat! Retreat! He's killing everybody!
Ready to meet your maker.
He'll kill us all!
Минус 4, нахуй.
My guess is those dime novels didn't portray this as it happened, did they? Only a few stragglers were left. I had to cut them down pronto if I was going to stay on old Bob's trail.
Merciful Christ! No amount of gold is worth this! Damn ears are ringing. Run if you want to live!
Once I silenced all those guns, I went searching for my nemesis, determined to finally have my justice. But the only survivor who welcomed me was George Flat-Nosed Curry.
Who was he?
The fastest gun in the gang. Right after Sundance, I mean. And Kid Curry, and maybe Elsie Lay. Though some folks might dispute that. On that very same day, Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid decided to leave the Wild Bunch behind and decamped for South America. They ended up living down there for many years, but I'm sure you already know all about that.
Сайлос утверждает, что его неустанное преследование Боба Брайанта вынудило главарей. Пытался найти Боба Брайанта, но он как сквозь землю провалился. Естественно, блядь, всю банду отпиздил один. Съебался.
So I took to their trail, as I was still in pursuit of my brother's killer and hoped that he was back with him.
That Kid Curry's kind of crazy, ain't he? Don't let him hear you saying that.
Anyways, I tracked those boys to a camp right outside Parachute, Colorado.
We're under fire!
Being outnumbered, I didn't bother with a warning shot. I just started taking those bastards down.
You or me?
Old Bob wasn't among them, and neither was Kid
Да,
Curry.
семерых
Sensed them
вырубил.
close by, however, plotting something nasty. I just needed a clue as to their whereabouts. found one. A map with their bold plan clearly marked. This time they were fixing to blow up a train trestle. Property of the Union Pacific. The plan
Most.
clearly indicated how they were fixing to undermine several of the weakest wooden supports.
И мне надо будет это все обезвредить, да?
Kid Curry was considered the wildest of the wild bunch. It was said that he fathered 85 bastard children, though some say it was only 5.
85 мелких ублюдков, хотя некоторые говорят, что всего лишь 5.
Kid Curry had bragged to a whore how he was gonna rob a train heading to the U.S. Mint in Denver. And that whore, Fat Sally, she told me. The bridge was rigged with dynamite, so I decided I'd best be careful confronting those bastards. A moment later, I saw a ladder that somehow had escaped my attention.
Don't you blow us up now.
Don't worry, I know what I'm doing.
But the Wild Bunch did not take kindly to my presence.
Начинаем заварушки.
My head off. It appeared the kid had found a number of new recruits to
Блядь,
bolster their ranks.
куда?
Guess there's always desperate men willing to trade their lives for stolen treasure.
What happened next?
Well, having removed the first bundle of dynamite, I decided I might as well remove the other one. Once that was done, I figured I'd find my way from there.
Hell's a combo. If I'm going out, I'm taking you with me. You ready for a
So, what happened then?
Had to remove more of that damn dynamite.
Как он переобувается.
Terrifying trying to make your way across.
I was sweating it a bit, but then I noticed a footbridge tied up on high, so I shot the rope.
So that was all the dynamite?
Funny you should mention that, darling. As actually there was a fourth charge impeding my progress. Once I removed it, my path was pretty clear. So I proceeded onward and realized that that way just wasn't gonna work. I needed an alternate path forward.
Нужен был другой путь. Я так понимаю, сюда. Да ебать!
Of course, I had to tread carefully. Otherwise, I could, well, die.
Ебучий пробел, блядь. Наверное, сюда надо. Ебать. По-моему, я только что по кругу прошелся. Здесь еще одна лестница. Куда идти-то надо, блядь? Найдите альтернативный путь. Вот он.
Luckily, I found a cave, and as I made my way back to the bridge, I saw something that concerned me. It was a long burning fuse, and it was moving fast as hell. I had to catch it. The burning fuse was so damn quick, I had to run like the wind. I almost had it, but no. Thought I was gonna have a coronary when I lost sight of those sparks. My heart was pounding like a sledgehammer. I knew that failure meant boom.
Get off the bridge!
I knew that failure meant boom. Then, finally, at the last moment. Whew. Of course, I was successful, or clearly I wouldn't be talking to you folks here today. Naturally, I removed the last dynamite charge. Well, it was a touching reunion. But by this time, I was thoroughly exhausted and dragging my ass, as I was not a young man anymore.
Давайте с моста найдите остальных членов банды. Я выбрался.
Finally, I found those boys. Or more precisely, they found me.
He's Tracer and Kid Curry asked me! Nuttier than a damn fruitcake! Let's see if that chicken can fly!
Just when I thought things couldn't get worse, Kid Curry opened up on me with a goddamn Gatling gun. It was hidden in this tunnel and pretty well shielded.
Kid Curry.
Sorry, son of a bitch!
Luckily, I had located some dynamite. I still, however, had my work cut out for me.
Am I out of bullets already? You can't beat me! Get out of here! Shit! That smells like a dead. Damn it, I need some help here. Hey, boys, take this son of a bitch. This is the last mistake you'll ever make. Leave him to me. I think he's scared. Time for you to lay down and die. Come on, come on, come on! Like this cocksucker! Move it, boys! You ready? Show yourself, you coward! You can't beat me! Stupid contraption! Are you kidding me? Damn! Cut you a new one! Beat that bastard!
Eventually, I brought that tunnel down. And that's when I met Kid Curry himself. He had decided to stop pussyfooting around and deal with me personally.
Опа, опять дуэль.
As fast as he was, I was just a bit faster. And as he lay wounded, I demanded to know the whereabouts of Roscoe Bob Bryant. He shouted at me. Is that what this is about? Bob went with Butch and Sundance to South America. You ain't never finding him. Those were his last words.
So, Bob Bryant got away?
I knew I'd never find him in South America.
What about the other killer?
Yeah, you kinda glossed over that one.
Well, I found Jim not long after my showdown with Ringo. At the time, he was riding with the James Younger gang. Did I neglect to mention that?
Jesse James? The
Jesse
greatest
James.
outlaw who ever lived?
Я уже в конце.
Jesse and his kin rode with Quantrill when he raided Lawrence, Kansas, and killed near
Я отойду
200
буквально на
people,
минуточку.
boy.
Yeah, nothing great about that.
And from there, him and his brother went on to rob banks and trains from Kansas to Missouri.
Which is why there was such a rich bounty on their heads. 40 grand for both of them, dead or alive. That's one hell of a payday.
И я на месте. Так, один момент.
Блять, это ведь даже еще не половина.
I confronted them as they were robbing a train. Bullets were flying at me from every which way. But I knew I'd have to fight my way forward if I was gonna find this Jim.
Стрелок в броне.
Now wait a second. How'd they stop this train in the first place?
Well, the James boys were experts at this.
По легенде. Мог одним взглядом остановить поезд Джесси Джеймс.
They hopped a freight train having heard there was a big payroll in the express safe. So, I hopped the same train.
Новый уровень. Быстрое прицеливание.
The James Younger gang was decimated after that little fiasco they had in Northfield, Minnesota. So Jesse needed more men and took on the killer I was after, along with a host of others. I was hoping to find my man and put a bullet in his head. Climbing around that train, I must have swallowed 100 damn bugs before I
The
reached
James
that...
Younger gang pulled the first train robbery west of the Mississippi.
Sounds like you hold them in high regard.
Everyone knows they were the most famous outlaw gang ever.
And you took them all on by your lonesome. Again. I'm finding this all a little hard to swallow, friend.
Well, maybe you need to wash it down with some whiskey. By the way, did I mention that that train was flying down those tracks like a bat out of hell? find the gentleman's facilities. Suddenly I have an urgent need to drain my one-eyed snake. Well, I've had more than a few drinks, and I've been sitting here for quite a spell.
Right through there. Let me show you.
Перс узор. Давай попробуем. Что у него? Скорость стрельбы, скорость прицеливания плюс. А у этого минус отдача плюс к дальности. Револьвер с костяной ручкой вообще топчик. И скорострельность, и урон. Все дела. Бля, ты можешь там ссать быстрее, не? Или это мне возможность немножечко отдохнуть?
I never heard so much malarkey in my life.
You think he's bullshitting us?
You don't think he's Silas Greaves?
I think he's just some old drunk looking for some free liquor.
Все-таки не надо было стоять и ждать, да?
I don't know, Jack. I think I believe him. You don't think he met Jesse James?
Oh, you gotta be kidding me. That story makes no sense at all.
Jack,
I mean, you gotta be 2 bricks short of a load to believe that cock and bull story.
I don't agree.
Jack, lay off.
You seriously think that tired old man went toe-to-toe with Jesse James?
Well, that's better. Did I mention that this Jim was married to the infamous Belle Starr? Of course, I didn't learn that until later. Anyway, I made my way forward the best I could. Around the sides, over the roof. At some point, some sumbitch saw me and shouted out, "It's the damn Pinkertons!"
It's a damn Pinkerton!
Now, I never worked for that limey cocksucker, but I guess they assumed I was one of his assassins. Those evil bastards firebombed Jesse's mother's house and killed his stepbrother.
Goddamn
Well, it was no wonder each and every asshole on that train wanted me dead.
Everybody's always mistaking you for somebody else, aren't they? Why is that,
Blech.
I wonder?
It was a rickety ride and quite precarious.
И как мне туда залезть? Что сделать-то надо, ёпта? Явно не это. И не это.
It was definitely safer on the inside of the train.
И мне надо изнутри что-то сделать. Да ебать. А что сделать-то? Можно пролезть справа сбоку. А, залез на А, блядь, тут лестница была все это время. Пиздец.
Shoot that stupid son of a bitch!
I came across a flat car piled high with logs and had to come up with a creative way to make my way forward. I wondered if I was ever gonna find the front of that train. Or the bastard I was after. Jesse hired a damn army after Northfield. Guess he didn't want to be outgunned like that ever again. Right about then, I was attacked by some asshole on a Gatling gun.
Yeah, seems like you run into a lot of them.
Asshole?
Gatling guns.
Yes, I did. Now, I don't remember how I took it out. It was either a bullet or dynamite.
Where would you find dynamite?
Does it really matter, Jack? You're messing with the flow of the story here.
Чё, блядь? Опять я в стык в какой-то попал, блядь.
He's almost as good as me. You can't fight Dave, gang!
I was looking for Jim and shooting any son of a bitch stupid enough to get in my way. And that included Jesse James himself. sure were a lot of men determined to die that day.
I think he's scared. Brother, I'm gonna make you pay for that.
It was then that Jesse detached the express car from the rest of the damn train.
Блять. Опять.
I could see Jesse waiting for me, fixing to kill me so he could get away with all that money.
You had a showdown with Jesse James?
Of course he didn't. Everybody knows that Jesse was killed by Bob Ford.
Yeah. Jesse went out like John Wesley Hardin. Coward shot him in the back of the head.
Guess it doesn't matter how far you run, does it, Ben? Your past always catches up with you. Yeah, I didn't kill Jesse James. Just wounded him bad enough to convince him to hang up his guns.
What about that Jim fella? What happened to him?
I figure he was up front with a gun to the engineer's head. That bastard slipped away again. I'll tell you how I got him. But first I need to wet my whistle.
Никаких секретов я тут не нашел. Ну и ладно.
After my showdown with Jesse, I continued to track his brother, Frank, and that son of a bitch, Jim. I followed those bastards into the high mountains as they were going to ground.
What mountains would that be?
Somewhere in the Ozarks, I believe. The perfect place to hide out from the authorities.
Револьвер с костяной ручкой.
In fact, before I could find them, some Indians who fled the res and were hiding out from the military found me first. They probably thought I was a cavalry scout and didn't want me telling the military where they were.
Indians?
Yeah, they could have been Cheyenne, but there was all sorts of renegades roaming the landscape back then.
Да ебать. Иди нахуй. Ты чё там, Вася, стоишь, блядь?
Hey, how about another whiskey, Ben? Nothing better to soothe the troubled soul. Now, where was I? Indians, right. I had more than my share of run-ins with the Red Man. Like that time... Did I tell you about Grey Wolf?
Yes, sir. You did.
Ah, of course I did. In fact, I can still remember that old medicine man's words to me.
Jesus Christ, we're back to that again.
You carry great darkness in your heart. It will claim your soul. you will come to this place again and kill many more men. And the darkness will grow until it consumes everything you are.
So, did you ever find him? Who? The man you were after.
Let me ask you something, Ben. You ever think about death?
Mr. Greaves, are you all right?
Больше концентрации за хедшоты.
Ooh, death. Oh, death. Won't you spare me over till another year? What is this that I can't see with ice cold hands taking hold of me? Well, I am death, none can excel. I'll open the door to heaven or hell. Oh, death.
Какая-то очень знакомая песня.
Someone would pray. Could you wait to call me another day? Oh, death. Oh, death. Won't you spare me over till another year?
So, are you gonna answer the question?
What question is that?
Jim Reed. Did you ever find him?
Reed was indeed that son of a bitch's surname. That's right, Ben. A despicable character. I remember him laughing like a hyena that cold morning they lynched me and my brothers. He was intent on avoiding my vengeance, but nothing was gonna stop me. Nothing.
Брайан Джеймс.
I finally did track those outlaws down. They had long rifles with scopes and were well positioned to pick off any poor soul who came anywhere close. I'm guessing Frank James believed I was responsible for the demise of his brother Jesse. I couldn't really disagree with the man, as I thought Jesse was dead then as well. He backed off as I closed in on him, but he was still intent on killing me. And when I closed in on him again, he backed off again, looking for a better angle on me. Hell, I can't fault Frank for wanting his revenge, as I was there for the same damn reason myself. At this point, I'm guessing you think Silas Greaves is a worse murderer than Jim Reed ever was.
No, sir.
A man who spent half his life killing somebody's brothers, fathers, sons.
I think you were just looking for justice, sir.
Is that what I was looking for, Dwight? Is that what it was? Justice?
Isn't that why you were hunting the James gang?
The James gang. Right. I finally found Frank holed up in his mountain cabin, and he was determined to have me dead. It was a pitched battle that could have gone either way. Luckily, I had some dynamite in my possession.
Dynamite. On your person.
A few sticks, just in case. It's always good to be prepared.
Right.
I'm just laying out the facts as I remember them, Jack.
Take him out! He's just one man! Put him down! I want that bastard dead! Gonna make you bleed! Death is you're gonna bleed! Come on! You ain't seen the likes of me. You ready for a belly full of buckshot? Stop that! I'm still standing.
That old shack? Well, it went tumbling right off that cliff.
With Frank James still in it?
Yes, sir.
But Frank James is still alive, living in Missouri.
Сuri устраивает видеоэкскурсию за 25 центов по семейному ранчо.
I didn't say he died in the fall, now did I?
I'm done with this damnable outlaw life. Kill me, don't kill me, do what you will. At this point, I just don't give a shit.
I explained to Frank that I had nothing against him personally and that I was looking for someone else.
You want Reed? Have at him. I never did like that bastard. I am done here.
We parted in peace as Frank pointed out the path to my prey before making his way back down the hill.
Где же скрывается Рид?
So, what happened with Reed?
Well, I finally found the last of the gang hiding in a nearby cave. First, I had to dispatch the lookouts. Because I was determined not to let that murderer escape my revenge again. But rather than wander in willy-nilly, I decided it would be better to smoke that son-bitch out. Hey, Reed! I shouted. No wonder you're so ornery. Can't be easy being married to Belle Starr. While you're off providing for the family, she's spreading her legs for every Tom, Dick, and Cole Younger. Not an attractive woman exactly, but very friendly. At least she was to me.
Son of a bitch!
It was then that the last bunch of bandits jumped out of hiding.
Why won't this asshole give up? Will someone please kill him?
Eventually, it was just me and Reed. I had waited a long time to face him down, so I could repay him for what he did to my brothers. And repay him I did.
Честно убито.
but I'm pretty beat.
Well, it's too damn bad you never found that Bob character. Seems a shame he never had to pay.
Well, funny thing about that, I did have one more chance at him.
Возвращение к 7-му эпизоду.
6 months ago, I heard that Butch and Sundance were back in the States and had gathered up some of their old gang. I tracked them down, hoping that Roscoe Bob Bryant had returned with them.
So you're saying they didn't die down in Bolivia?
That's what I'm saying.
Ну, по идее, это последняя уже. Запускаем.
40 years I had waited to get my hands on the last of my brother's killers. Not even an army of demons could have stopped me now.
Гравированный рейнджер.
Both Johnny Ringo and Jim Reed fell fairly quickly. But the last one, Roscoe Bob Bryant. That son of a bitch had managed to escape my vengeance time and time again. I couldn't even be certain I'd recognize him after all those years. By now, he had to be close to 70.
For all you know, he could have been dead.
That thought had indeed
Давай
crossed
попробуем
my
револьвер с узором.
mind, as did others. For instance, did my thirst for vengeance turn me into something worse than the man I was after? By this point in my storied career, I had killed more men than Bob Bryant ever had. I was furious as hell at that bastard for making me who I am. A man with no family, no friends,
Человека без семьи,
no
без
purpose
друзей.
except shooting Bob Bryant dead. Nothing could stop me from taking his life. I'd been after that killer forever. From the time I rode with Billy the Kid. But that chapter of my story you already know.
Chapter of that fairy tale, you mean?
Suddenly it was 1910. There I was, an old man roaming a ghost town dead almost 2 decades. The town was falling apart, just like me.
Город распался, как и я. Контрольная точка.
But I wasn't about to call it quits. Even though the ghosts of my dead brothers were begging me to end what I started so long ago.
Mr. Graves, are you all right? Would you like some water?
The Wild Bunch knew I was there. They were after a treasure they had hidden before they fled, buried in a grave of a dead amigo.
Могиле из одного из своих
Some
дружков,
folks
блядь.
think the town is haunted, so they figured there wouldn't be many people poking around.
Куда тут идти-то, блядь? Туда. Как туда пройти, не? А, вот так.
I intended to fill that grave with Bob Bryant's corpse. But like I said, the bandits knew I was on to them. They lured me in and hit me with everything they had.
Новый уровень. Дайте в голову даже не целясь, нажимаю, удерживаю Q. Золотая винтовка.
You obviously prevailed since you're sitting here telling us today.
Actually, in that moment, I did not prevail.
So I suppose we're talking to a ghost.
Funny you should put it like that, Jack. Because when I woke up,
From the dead?
there was silence all around me. I could swear to God I saw Billy then.
Billy who?
Billy, the kid. William Bonney. He was shooting at me from a rooftop. Here, and there, even over there.
So I am right. You are titched in the head.
Mr. Greaves, perhaps we should switch you to coffee?
You see that old Indian again, too?
No, but I did see Billy's killer, Patrick Floyd Garrett. He came at me guns a-blazing. But I knew that old war horse had died 2 years before. I wondered if maybe I was dead too and confronting the ghosts of my past. Perhaps all my sins were coming back to haunt me and drag me down to perdition. I saw Henry Plummer throw dynamite at me.
Блять, они прозрачные теперь тут, нахуй.
In the gates of the cemetery, I saw John Wesley Hardin, just like I remembered him.
Игру как будто можно сделать чуть-чуть погромче. Значит, что я понял, это в конце игры уже, блядь.
Robert Ollinger appeared with his terrible double-barrel shotgun.
Блять.
No ghost army was stopping me.
My father-in-law got hit with a fallen branch. He spent the rest of his life talking to dogs.
Newman Hayes Clanton, William Brocious, John Peters Ringo, they all wanted me dead. Dalton brothers, Robert and Grattan, guardians of the Garden of the Dead. George Curry and Harvey Logan, alias Kid Curry, both thirsty for vengeance from the great beyond. Jesse, Woodson, James, and Jim Reed, each one deader than the next. I thought I would go crazy. Thought? Finally, I saw Harry Alonzo Longabaugh.
The Sundance Kid?
Like a general leading his Legion of the Dead.
You told us before that you'd seen him alive.
He was alive. Then I heard a voice call to me from afar. It was Robert Leroy Parker, a.k.a. Butch Cassidy, coming at me from out of the fog.
Thanks for taking care of that bastard.
Butch Cassidy. Сертинский. Хороший, плохой и мертвый.
But the kid wasn't quite deceased. Not yet.
Takes more than one little bullet to kill the likes of me, partner.
Those two looked like they hadn't seen each other for quite a while. Clearly, they were no longer amigos.
Shit. I was hoping I wouldn't have to kill you.
You won't have to, Butch. I'm killing you first.
I asked them about Bob Bryant, but they were too busy with their own heated conversation.
Let me get this shit straight. You want my money and the love of my life?
You frittered it all away, Butch. Anna's mine. So is that damn money.
I didn't want to shoot anybody until I had an answer to my question, but those boys didn't give me much of a choice.
Мексиканской дуэли.
Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid died there in that cemetery
Ну,
not 6
6
months
месяцев
ago.
назад. Нихуя как двое. Эпилог. Вот это точно последнее.
Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid were killed by the Bolivian army. Everybody knows that.
That's the legend, but it ain't the truth.
So, you never found Bob?
There is no Bob. This old sumbitch ain't even Silas Greaves.
Sir, is that true? Have you been pulling our legs this whole time?
Well, not the whole time.
Oh man, I think you've worn out your welcome here.
Maybe you're right, Jack. Maybe it's time to pay. You see, Ben, or should I say Bob, your past always catches up with you.
I was a different man back then, crazy. Drinking, I've changed my ways, I swear to you. If I could turn back the clock,
But you can't, Bob.
Отомстим ему.
Why'd you toy with me like that? Telling those tales, knowing all along. Why not just lay your cards on the table?
Here. I won't have it said that I left you with nothing.
That's how you want it? So be it. Holy shit!
Right, Molly, move against that wall. Go!
Oh my god! Oh, Jesus!
Did you know it was him all along?
Cassidy told me Bob was in Abilene before he died. But I wasn't sure Ben was my man until he revealed how much he knew about Ringo and Reed. The coin, of course. Well, that was the last nail in that particular coffin.
I better go get the sheriff.
You okay, boy? You're looking mighty shook up.
Dwight, maybe you best go home. Young Eisenhower here is leaving for West Point tomorrow. He shouldn't get caught up in something like this.
I think I might head out myself at this juncture. Unless you want to stop me, Jack.
No, sir, Mr. Greaves.
So where are you going now? Now that you had your revenge?
Doesn't really matter, does it? As I've sold my soul for it, and will never again walk with those I have lost.
Ну что ж, 3,5 часа у меня заняло прохождение Ганслингера. Незатянутая игрушка. Геймплей, конечно, однообразный, но игра не затянутая, и он не успевает надоесть, как я и говорил уже в середине прохождения. Будем по титры смотреть. Доступна новая игра. С минимум индикаторов на экране повышено. Ага. На этом закончим, я думаю. Я прервусь ненадолго. И потом уже в что-нибудь другое пойдем играть.